To prove my courage, while the female ghost was on maternity leave, right from the start, I forcibly kissed a slit-mouthed woman with 28 large steel teeth. The stunned female ghost immediately said, "Search the post," and even wanted to go home with me to have a baby. All because I was reborn into a world where spiritual energy had awakened, and anomalies ran rampant. As the son of a great hero, I was looked down upon by all the teachers and students in the school. They not only suspected I used back doors for the college entrance exam, disgracing my heroic father, but also because I was one with no awakening potential, naturally unable to awaken a martial soul. But what they didn't know was, I, a transmigrator, had awakened a god-tier choice system. As long as I dealt with the slit mouth, I could awaken the SESF demon god-possessing martial soul. What gossip and rumors, what suspicion and jealousy, would all be trampled underfoot. At this very moment, Lin Kuei, who had just awakened, was hiding from the rain under the eaves. He looked dejectedly at the sky, the pouring rain in the air, and the sparse crowd on the road. Then, he let out a cold sigh. He didn't know if it was an illusion or due to the rain. But the streetlights in the alley began to flicker continuously. Immediately after, a chilling aura swept through the surrounding air. Strange. Why did it suddenly get cold? Lin Kuei draped his dry school uniform over his shoulder. His gaze swept around. Then, he saw a woman slowly approaching, holding an umbrella. She seemed unaffected by the hot summer weather. He saw her wearing a wine-red long trench coat, with a white, tight-fitting, thin sweater, and a black, tight-fitting short skirt underneath. Her face was obscured by a mask, and the elegant hair on her forehead, revealing only her beautiful brows and eyes, and the corner of one eye, where a tear was faintly visible. The outline of her high, straight nose suggested she was not bad-looking. Lin Kuei frowned. Judging by the woman's direction, she was clearly heading towards him. But he had no impression of this woman whatsoever. At this moment, the woman, holding her umbrella, had walked up to Lin Kuei and stopped. He turned to Lin Kuei, leaning forward. A faint scent of white eyebrow subtly wafted into Lin Kuei's nostrils. "Little brother, do I look good?" Lin Kuei was stunned. Are girls in this world so direct when hitting on someone? "Pretty." He nodded honestly. And while he was at it, he stole 2 glances. In that instant he lowered his head. After all, who wouldn't like such a mature older sister? What about now? The red-clothed woman took off her mask and smiled sweetly. Pink face and rosy cheeks. A tall, elegant nose. Plump, pearl-like lips. Smiling without showing teeth. Truly a rare beauty. But then, her smile gradually widened, revealing 28 teeth. A huge slit extended along her lip line to her earlobes. Lin Kuei gasped, drawing a cold breath. At this moment, the slit-mouthed woman was holding a sharp pair of scissors from her pocket. If the young man in front of her answered, "Beautiful," she would cut open his mouth. If he answered, "Not beautiful," then the scissors would stab into his body. Meanwhile, Lin Kuei's face turned ashen. He tightly covered his mouth with both hands, fearing he couldn't control himself and would make a sound. "Oh my God. As a transmigrator, you didn't even give me a cheat, golden finger, at the start. Even if I just tried to hide from you, you still had to arrange something exciting for me. This legendary evil spirit, the slit-mouthed woman, is not someone just anyone can encounter. Either disfigurement or death. How do I choose? Am I still beautiful now?" The slit-mouthed woman, seeing Lin Kuei hesitate to answer, moved a few steps closer. Lin Kuei's chest, through his thin t-shirt, could faintly feel that cold softness. Lin Kuei wanted to escape, but couldn't control his trembling legs. Suddenly, a muffled, thunder-like sound came from within him. Host, detected to be in danger. God tier. Choice system. Successfully bound. Option 1. Answer. Then flee with all your might. Option 2. Shout for help. Option 3. Notify nearby spirit cultivators to slay the slit-mouthed woman. Quest reward. Grand ring. A single one can increase 30 years of cultivation. Choose option 2. Answer. Good looking. Have your mouth slit open by the slit-mouthed woman. Task reward. A marrow cleansing pill. 1 pill can cleanse marrow and purify the body. Improve physical talent. S rank choice 3. Die beneath the other shore flower. Even as a ghost, be dashing and free-spirited. Don't speak. Ask him about the task reward. Reward. Activate the SSS rank, Demon God, Martial Spirit. Lin Kuei's expression froze. His heart was then filled with pleasant surprise. The cheat ability he had longed for day and night was actually activated at this moment. Is there even a need to choose? Subsequently, Lin Kuei focused his gaze on the third option, not to mention the demon god Chios. The SS rank Martial Spirit was clearly the best reward among them. What's more, this slit-mouthed woman, a big sister type, didn't reveal her terrifying form. She was genuinely very good-looking. He then looked at the slit-mouthed woman, his gaze firm. I'm definitely becoming the Ghost Rider. Wow. Before the slit-mouthed woman could even open her mouth, Lin Kuei directly stepped forward, embracing her slender waist. With one hand, he pushed closed her mouth, which was open to a terrifying degree, and kissed her deeply. The fragrance of white plum grew even more intense. The texture of her full, moist lips was even more exquisite. At this moment, the slit-mouthed woman was utterly bewildered. What was going on? A powerful aura of the opposite sex assailed her tongue. She was a well-known evil spirit. The young man before her not only wasn't afraid of her. Instead, I myself, the slit-mouthed woman, looked at Lin Kuei's fiery gaze, her heart trembling slightly. It was the feeling of her heart stirring. Meanwhile, Lin Kuei seemed to have entered a state of flow, not only his gaze, staring intently at the slit-mouthed woman before him, but his mouth also seemed to be working even harder. The slit-mouthed woman, on the other hand, felt her entire body go soft and weak. Her slender hands pressed against Lin Kuei's chest, wanting to push him away, but due to her loss of strength, it was as if she was half resisting, half yielding. Indeed, when facing a female ghost, one still had to use love to influence her. As expected of me, Lin Kuei gazed at the stunning slit-mouthed woman before him, a smile forming in his heart. After a long moment of silent thought, the slit-mouthed woman's body was already pressed tightly against his chest. Having retracted her true form, she was merely a stunningly beautiful, alluring, mature woman. His eyes were red-rimmed, staring at Lin Kuei with a complicated gaze, his eyes showing fear, grievance, and a hint of pleasure. My name is Xianxia. After saying this, she pushed Lin Kuei away and ran away, covering her face. Just as Lin Kuei was about to chase after her, a searing pain, as if his soul was being torn apart, made him collapse to the ground, hands clutching his head with a thud. Immediately, large beads of sweat on his forehead dripped down incessantly. Then, with him at the center, spiritual energy gathered into a vortex that shot straight into the sky. This audacious move is truly astonishing. And by the looks of it, the commotion isn't small either. His son, as expected, showed no nervousness. In the dark corner at the end of the alley, a cold, aloof girl, revealing her demi-human nature, then extended her hand and snapped her fingers, creating an isolation barrier. With that, a spiritual barrier spread out with Lin Kuei at its center, limiting the commotion of his awakening to within the alley. The outside world could no longer hear the slightest sound. Thunder roared, and streaks of lightning flashed, converging into a Qilin entirely composed of spiritual energy and lightning. After a mighty roar, it charged directly down towards Lin Kuei and heavily enveloped him. Ya. Lin Kuei couldn't help but roar. One could see the spiritual energy of heaven and earth being drawn into and out of his body. And immediately after, his body erupted with a brilliant golden light. Suddenly, after a kacha sound, a strange right hand appeared to Lin Kuei's right, tearing open the void to manifest itself. It was a full 3 meters long, hovering above Lin Kuei's right shoulder. Its muscular joints were shrouded in dark purple energy, and its 5 fingers were sharp as blades, giving off an aura of immense power and ferocity. Is this my martial spirit? At this moment, Lin Kuei was panting heavily, his gaze fixed intently on the strange right hand shrouded in dark purple energy, and his soul power level, with the awakening of his martial spirit, also broke through to level 5. D rank reward distribution complete. Limited by the host's soul strength, the possessed martial spirit could not be fully displayed. As the host's soul strength increases, other parts can be gradually unlocked. According to what's currently public, the highest ranked martial spirit is merely S rank. And I have SSS rank. Who else dares to mock me? At this moment, Lin Kuei propped himself up and stood. Seeing no one around, he recalled the forced kiss just now. The scene with the slit-mouthed woman. The moment the slit-mouthed woman revealed her true form, that stunningly beautiful face, was deeply imprinted in his mind, and wouldn't fade. When Lin Kuei returned to his residential complex, it was already 8 p.m. As soon as he entered the door, he saw his younger sister, Lin Ji, holding ginger tea, waiting for him at the doorway, and on the table beside her, fragrant dishes were laid out. A warm current immediately flowed through his heart. The transmigrated Lin Kuei perhaps hadn't felt such warmth for a long time. He, having replaced Yuan Zhu, and with his younger sister, Lin Sibing, resolved the potential dangers that arose due to the martial spirit issue. And Lin Shi, moreover, cried tears of joy, because ever since she awakened her martial spirit, and her older brother, Lin Kuei, were mocked as picked-up bastards, she had never spoken to him again. Afterwards, the two of them enjoyed their rare mealtime together. Not long after, an uninvited guest arrived at their home. It was none other than Chu Junyu, his childhood sweetheart and the school beauty. Her long black hair was casually draped, her features as exquisite as a painting. Beneath her uniform short skirt, black over-the-knee socks encased her slender legs. He was able to live another life. Waking up in the alley was thanks to Xianxia, but when he formed an enmity with the rich second-generation Xianxia, it was caused by Chu Junyao. Afterwards, she regretfully glanced at Lin Kuei. Then she slowly said, "I have already awakened. My AG martial spirit guarantees me admission to Kanglin Academy. In the future, entering the Night Patrol Temple will lead to a bright future. It's no longer possible for you and me to enter Kanglin Academy together, but if you want to chase my shadow, then study hard and strive to get into a double first-class liberal arts university." As he said this, his ears tinged red. He gave Lin Kuei a hard kick. Then he turned and quickly left. Before closing the door, he left a message. "Kunye Si, it's not impossible for us to be together in a non-combat role, but don't use petty tricks. You know I hate people who use backdoors the most." Lin Kuei, on the other hand, had a disgusted look. Damn it. Is he mocking me? Saying I can only look up to his back my whole life? I can't stand this. Lin Shi, on the other hand, had a dark expression. Chu Junyao probably didn't mean that. Right. What exactly is going on in brother's head? Lin Shi then turned her head aimlessly and asked Lin Kuei, "Brother, do you want to go to the 5th department?" "Of course." Lin Kuei nodded. After receiving a positive answer, Lin Shi hugged her teddy bear and ran into her room. She then took out her phone and dialed a number. The next day, Lin Shi got on a bus to go to school and apply for supplementary enrollment in the 5th department. Meanwhile, a news report was playing on the bus, stating that a year ago, the disappeared bus transporting special recruits for Kanglin Academy had been salvaged today. The culprit was the spirit hearse ghost, who had been injured by Kanglin Academy's mentor Mo Xing and was currently being pursued. Lin Kuei glanced at it, secretly thinking to himself, this world is truly full of dangers. Soon after, Lin Kuei arrived at Kanglan No. 2 Middle School. At that moment, a middle-aged man wearing glasses, looking quite distinguished, was waiting at the entrance. Seeing Lin Kuei arrive, he waved to him, signaling Lin Kuei to come over. "Director Pan." Lin Kuei looked at the middle-aged man with some surprise. "You brat. You're something else. You've been hiding it quite well. I didn't realize you were a Guanshihu. Someone with connections," Director Pan said, pushing up his glasses. "What Guanshihu?" Lin Kuei was utterly confused. "Still putting on an act with me? The teachers of Kanglin Academy are all here, just waiting for you." Special Admissions Director Pan patted Lin Kuei's shoulder. Lin Kuei grew increasingly agitated the more he heard about filial piety. Special Admissions student of Kanglin Academy. At this moment, Lin Kuei was led by Director Pan to the school's sports field, and on the field, 11 young men and women were already waiting. In front of them stood a middle-aged man. He was dressed in a blue long robe. On his shoulder was a Vine Snake Academy emblem. "You are Lin Kuei?" The blue-robed middle-aged man stood with his hands clasped behind his back, his powerful, narrowed gaze fixed forward. "It's me, Lin Kuei," not at all intimidated by the subtle pressure in the middle-aged man's gaze. Then Mo Xing spoke indifferently. "I am Mo Xing, a mentor of Kanglin Academy. I've seen your file. I don't know who the important figure behind you is, but you, a mortal, without even a martial spirit, entering Kanglin Academy, is a waste of time. I advise you to obediently enter the liberal arts department. Sometimes, accepting mediocrity isn't necessarily a bad thing. Important figure. Lin Kuei was stunned for a moment. Then he thought of something. It must be that girl Lin Shi, who contacted Hua Jie last night. I didn't expect that as a night patrol envoy. Hua Jie's influence was so great. A mortal, without even a martial spirit, could also be arranged into Kanglin Academy, and as a special admissions student. Then Lin Kuei calmed his mind. Then he said, after returning yesterday, I accidentally awakened my martial spirit. Immediately after, under Mo Xing's astonished gaze, spirit energy surged around Lin Kuei. Martial spirit. Activate. To Lin Kuei's right. A bizarre right hand tore through the void, floating above Lin Kuei's right shoulder. Its muscular knots were enveloped by dark purple airflow. Its 5 fingers were as sharp as blades, giving off a sense of fierce power. Feeling this aura, Mo Xing's heart was first startled. Then he regretfully said, the martial spirit is powerful, but unfortunately, the soul is insufficient, inherently flawed. As a 36th level Jade Forest Quasi-Mo Xing, his perception of soul power was extremely keen. He could tell at a glance that Lin Kuei's martial spirit was incomplete and uninteresting. The flawed martial spirit still thought there might be a surprise. According to Su Tang, the short-haired girl in the middle of the crowd, pursed her lips. He said, only to see him wearing a short skirt and shaved. A pair of long, slender legs, as white as ivory, dazzling people's eyes. Let's go. I'll reluctantly consider you passed. After Mo Xing finished speaking, he led the others away. Outside Kanglin Middle School, a bus arrived late. You will take this bus to Kanglin Academy. I have another key. Upon arrival at the entrance, a teacher will naturally be there to receive you. Mo Xing said, pointing at the bus behind him. After speaking, he directed everyone to board the bus in an orderly fashion. Lin Kuei boarded the bus and looked inside. Besides the 11 of them, there were also some other people on board. Presumably, they were also specially recruited students for Kanglin Academy. When he passed by Su Tang, Lin Kuei's heart suddenly tensed. It was strange. It felt like he was meeting this woman for the first time. Why? He felt that the way this woman looked at him was not right. There was a dangerous feeling, but he wasn't someone easily intimidated. So he glared back, without showing any weakness. Afterwards, Lin Kuei found a window seat and sat down. But for some unknown reason, from the moment he boarded the bus, his heart began to thump wildly. He felt extremely uneasy. He must be too tired. Lin Kuei rubbed his temples and comforted himself. This was Kanglin Academy, after all. A special vehicle for picking up and dropping off specially recruited students. Who would dare cause trouble here? The vehicle started. A wave of weariness surged over Lin Kuei. His mind grew hazy, and he fell asleep. Little did he know that in the darkness, a pair of blood-red, hazy ghost tombs had already quietly fixed its gaze on this bus. He didn't know how much time had passed. Lin Kuei easily opened his eyes. He looked at the scenery outside the window. Haven't we arrived yet? He, however, yawned. The distance from Kanglin Middle School to Kanglin Academy was only about an hour's journey by highway. But now, the coach bus. It had been driving for almost an hour and a half, but it still hadn't exited the highway. At this moment, a boy suddenly asked, doubtfully, why? I feel like we've been on this road, driving repeatedly for several loops. Is it just my imagination? Then, Su Tang pointed at a road sign on the highway and said, you're not wrong. We've been circling in place. This kind of road sign, there couldn't possibly be so many of them on one highway. Exactly the same. As soon as these words were spoken, in an instant, the atmosphere in the scene exploded like a pot boiling over. The young men and women in the car, one after another, revealed terrified expressions. Looking at this endless highway, their faces turned deathly pale. Their lips trembled incessantly. But the observant Ling Shui noticed that, although the young men in the car and the young women, one by one, showed signs of unease, only Su Tang had a calm expression. Ling Shui, having been reborn after death, was more or less immune to supernatural events. But for Su Tang, a teenage girl, to possess such composure was very unusual. Suddenly, a drip fell. A 7-year-old boy felt something fall on his face. Then he wiped it with his hand, and his expression changed drastically. He fell back into his seat with a thud. He screamed in terror. Lin Jun suddenly looked up, only to see from the cracks in the bus ceiling, fresh red blood continuously oozing out, staining the entire ceiling red. Drops of blood fell, making the entire interior of the car like an Asura hell. And the glass windows were covered with blood droplets, as if they were driving through a rain of blood. Screams echoed throughout the car. The young men and women screamed, clutching their heads in fear. Some of the more timid ones even crawled under the seats, trembling uncontrollably. Stop the car. Ling Shui quickly ran to the driver's seat, telling the driver to stop the car. But at this moment, the bus driver was already trembling all over from fright, unable to make any reaction. Let me. Lin K then stomped on the brake pedal. However, no matter how hard he braked, there was no braking effect at all. The car's speed, instead, grew faster and faster. Don't waste your energy. This is useless. Su Tang walked over and said. Afterwards, he whispered a few words to Lin Kuei, then returned to his seat. Lin Kuei, after hearing the words, raised an eyebrow, looking at Su Tang with eyes full of doubt. At this moment, Lin Kuei cursed his bad luck inwardly. If he wasn't mistaken, this car must have been tampered with by the Lin Che ghost reported on the bus this morning. At this moment, a young man with a side-swept haircut timidly said, I think we should just wait for rescue. Teacher Wu will come to save us. Instantly, the entire carriage fell silent. Who is Teacher Wu? The person closest to the young man unconsciously shifted their body away. Teacher Wu, Ziyuan. Kanglin Academy only had one teacher, surnamed Wu. That was the one who died with the car a year ago. What's wrong with all of you? I am Tang Xianxia, the special enrollment student of Kanglin Academy. The young man quickly added. Nini, didn't she die? A young man who knew about the river plunge incident that year pointed at Tang Xiansheng and shrieked. Tang Xiansheng died in the bus plunge incident a year ago. You're a ghost. You're talking nonsense. When I got on the bus, there wasn't even a driver like you. Driver, quickly tell them, I'm not dead. I'm still alive. Right. Tang Xiansheng, facing the accusations of the crowd, in disbelief. No, you died a year ago. At this moment, the driver no longer showed his previous panic, slowly lowered the hands covering his face, revealing a sinister smile. He slowly pointed his finger at some of the young men and the young girl, Nini, inside the carriage. And you few died a year ago. Those youths, pointed out by the driver, the memories in the minds of the young men and women seemed to awaken. Each one clutched their head and wailed, I don't want this. Why are we the ones who died, while they are living perfectly fine? Why couldn't we enroll? Yet they caused trouble and killed them. Lin Kei looked at the youths and young women who had turned into ghosts, except for those who got on the bus with him earlier. All the rest were ghosts. Thinking that he had been sharing a car with ghosts for so long, and he had even slept soundly, a chill ran down his spine. Su Tang, however, remained calm, as if all of this was within his expectations. Facing the ghosts around them, these special recruits didn't even have the courage to summon their martial spirits. All of them had ashen faces, screaming, and in a chaotic mess inside the carriage. They really dare to play like this, Lin Kei muttered softly. If he guessed correctly, this bus was the test arranged by Kanglin Academy. Since it's a test, he should perform well. It shouldn't be life-threatening, right? Just as he was thinking, a cold, mechanical voice from the system suddenly echoed in his mind. Ding. Option 1. Give up resisting. Test ends. Lose eligibility for Kanglin Academy enrollment. Task reward. A single Great Ring discipline, providing 30 years of cultivation. Option 2. Break through the ghost car's defenses. Jump from the car and escape. Task reward. 1 random top-tier century-old Hunyu. Option 3. Eliminate the ghost car. Rescue companions from dire straits. Task reward. 8th level Zhengyi. Directly entering the mastery realm. Grandmasters own 5 paths of Zhenqing. After pondering for a moment, Lin Kei gave a wicked, charming smile. he seemed to have made a certain decision. He was seen clenching his fists, and a surge of martial true qi circulated through his body. I'd like to see just how powerful you lonely souls and wild ghosts truly are. Then he charged towards these ghosts. Meanwhile, Tang Xianxia, who had turned into a ghost, also lunged at Lin Kuei, biting and clawing. An 8th level Quan Yi Ti, Shan Kao Iron Mountain Lean, against Tang Xianxiang's lunging bite. Lin Kuei combined his sharp elbows and forcefully slammed into Tang Xianxiang's chest. Instantly, all true qi was unleashed. The inner restriction, like a dragon, directly pierced through Tang Xianxiang's body and exploded within him. After a resounding bang, the immense power directly obliterated Tang Xianxiang, who turned into specks of light and vanished completely, displaying the bearing of a grandmaster. A flicker of surprise flashed in Su Tang's eyes. The Lin Kuei he saw was completely different from the ones spoken of by the seniors. Could it be? This fellow has been hiding his true abilities all along? A nascent form of Grandmaster True Qi. I truly underestimated this youngster. At this moment, in a sealed secret chamber, Mo Xing was watching Lin Kuei on the screen with great interest, the punch he blasted out. Meanwhile, beside Mo Xing, a middle-aged man from Beast High, wearing black glasses, also opened his mouth and inquired, "Is he the one Lord Night Patrol historian, specifically named and specially recruited?" Unfortunately, his crippled martial soul means his potential is already set. No matter how heaven-defying his talent, it will be in vain. Mo Xing sighed faintly. Afterwards, Mo Xing pointed at the screen and said with a serious expression, "Except for this little girl and Lin Kuei, all the others are to be assigned to the secondary class and stripped of their special recruitment status." The middle-aged man from Beast High shook his head and smiled. In his heart, he felt a bit of sympathy for these youngsters. This year's assessment was unlucky. They encountered Mo Xing, who only recognizes rigid principles, a living King Yama. Meanwhile, inside the bus compartment, Lin Kuei was currently employing the 8 Extremes True Intent Fist on a little ghost. After eradicating the last little ghost, he turned his head to look at the bus driver. "Should I call you driver or hearse driver ghost?" "Just a code name." The hearse driver ghost waved his hand with an indifferent expression. "That group of Jade Foresters from Kanglin Academy actually wants to use me as a whetstone master? That's simply wishful thinking. I will take you all into the rivers and let you become the nourishment for my advancement. Are you mistaken? Your subordinates have already been completely annihilated by me. Only you, a bear commander, are left. What are you putting on an act for?" Lin Kuei spoke. "Heh. Are you sure?" The spirit vehicle ghost sneered. The next moment, those minor ghosts that Lin Kuei had originally slain revived once again. Moreover, their forms were even more ferocious than before. The yin energy on their bodies was heavier. "How could this be?" Lin Kuei frowned. "Heh. Obediently become my nourishment." After the spirit vehicle ghost let out a sinister laugh, the controlled minor ghosts once again pounced on Lin Kuei. "What? Out of strength?" Just then, a sinister voice rang in Lin Kuei's ear. Lin Kuei's face was filled with horror. A powerful impact force, from bottom to top, lifted his entire body and slammed him heavily against the bottom of the vehicle. Then, with a clang, he heavily fell back into the carriage. "No." Lin Kuei's throat twitched, and he spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. Immediately after, a foot stepped on his back, firmly pinning him to the ground, unable to stand. "Weren't you very strong? Keep killing then!" the spirit vehicle ghost shouted, its foot on Lin Kuei's back. "I'm screwed." Lin Kuei cursed inwardly. "Isn't that woman ready yet? Go to the underworld." Immediately, the spirit vehicle ghost smiled bloodthirstily, raised its ghostly claw, about to finish off Lin Kuei. Just then, with a whoosh, a sword arrow sliced through the air, piercing the spirit vehicle ghost's shoulder with an arrow, nailing it to the front windshield. Mere ghosts dare to act like this. At this moment, behind Lin Kuei, Su Tang summoned her longbow martial spirit, which hung before her slender, jade-like hand, held in a loose grip. She walked forward with delicate, graceful steps. The bow's body resembled a crescent moon-shaped long blade, its sharp bowstring attached to the blade's tip and hilt. Crimson energy currents swirled around the bow's body, filled with a sense of chilling spiritual power. This was precisely Su Tang's S-rank martial spirit, Ziza's S-grade martial spirit, of laborerism, a level 11 assault type, Jade Forest wielder. Lin Ke clicked his tongue. This woman is indeed not simple. Could it be any slower? Lin Ke stood up, looking disheveled, staring at Su Tang, with a hint of resentment. As soon as he noticed something was wrong with the brakes, he and Su Tang reached a consensus. He would hold back the ghosts, while Su Tang searched for a solution. Su Tang glanced at Lin Kuei. She said casually, "It took a bit of time, but I finally figured it out. The reason he could revive these minor ghosts was because of this car. Having lain dormant at the bottom of the river for a year, he had imbued this car with his own corrupting ability. What was in the car's fuel tank wasn't gasoline at all, but the resentful energy and blood water of these vengeful ghosts. As long as they didn't leave this car compartment, no matter how many times they were killed, Lin Ke suddenly realized, no wonder they couldn't be killed. So that's what this is all about. Human, you tricked me." The hearse ghost roared angrily. He was actually being led around by the nose by a human brat. "Please, who's going to risk their life for you these days? You have to use your brain when fighting." Lin Ke wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and scoffed. The hearse ghost gnashed its teeth, glaring at Lin Kuei. Then said chillingly, "So what if you've discovered it? You wouldn't dare destroy the fuel tank. The resentful energy and blood water accumulated inside. Once it erupts, everyone will be annihilated." "That's not necessarily true." Su Tang's soul power surged around her. Her right hand rested on a bowstring condensed from soul power. A sword arrow shot forth, a technique of the soul mark path soul cultivator. The sword arrow was like a divine deer, its entire body ablaze with dark red flames, galloping forth. The divine deer trampled through the hearse ghost's body and entered the fuel tank. Subsequently, the blood-red, resentful energy within the fuel tank was completely incinerated by the flames. "I won't accept this." The hearse ghost was slowly erased by the dark red flames. After letting out its last roar of defiance, it transformed into a white soul orb and fell to the ground. This is the Soul Rider technique. What powerful strength! Lin Ke stared at the migrant worker bamboo shadow in Su Tang's hand. He muttered to himself. After reaching level 10, a guardian can absorb a soul jade, obtaining the power from the ghost, transforming it into a soul trace for the guardian to use in attack. For example, the hearse ghost's ability is corruption. Encounter. After absorbing this white soul jade, a spirit user can, for domain skills, it can have a powerful amplification effect. Just after Su Tang dealt with the hearse ghost, the bus stopped and returned to its original state. Meanwhile, the young men and women on the bus each embraced one another and cheered, celebrating their narrow escape from death. At this moment, Lin Kuei was secretly picking up the hearse ghost's soul jade from the ground. A peculiar light gleamed in his eyes. Suddenly, Lin Kuei felt a wave of killing intent coming from behind him. He saw a huge flaming sword arrow just then, rapidly shooting towards him. Frightened, Lin Kuei hurriedly summoned his martial spirit and used the 8 extremities full wing to block the attack. "What are you doing?" "Trying to get the soul jade back." "So it's you, Lin Kuei." His eyes were filled with anger. Su Tang did not speak. He merely condensed another sword arrow and shot it towards Lin Kuei. Just as Lin Kuei was about to run and dodge, suddenly, a sound of tearing through the air rang out. Immediately after, a giant axe enveloped in red soul power chopped down from the sky, kicking up billowing dust and smoke, separating Lin Kuei and Su Tang. Lin Kuei lightly coughed twice. Once he clearly saw the figure in the dust and smoke. He was like a hungry man who hadn't seen the opposite sex in years, and quickly ran behind Mo Xing. Meanwhile, Su Tang saw Mo Xing arrive and put away his martial spirit, standing to the side. Afterwards, Mo Xing turned his head and glanced at the two of them. Then, ignored them. He assigned all personnel to Kanglin Academy. And after the newly dispatched bus, he alone took Lin Kuei and Su Tang and left in a jeep. Not long after, Lin Kuei saw a magnificent sight. He saw endless mountain ranges surrounding them, and in the center of the mountains was a vast open space. A city stood built upon it, and in the very center of the city, a statue of a giant winged serpent stood erected. Upon seeing the statue, his eyes clearly widened, his heart pounded faster. An immense spiritual pressure originating from his soul. Even from such a great distance, he could clearly sense the divine beast, the vine serpent. Su Tang also wore a look of shock. That's right. It is the statue of our human race's totem divine beast, the vine serpent, Mo Xing explained with a proud expression. As they spoke, the jeep had already driven into the town. The town was named Kangtong Town, and it housed the city Night Watch Temple. It was also the location of the Kanglin Academy, and the town with the fewest monster intrusions in the entire Kanglin city. On the bustling streets, high-level jade foresters were seen everywhere. Presumably, this was related to Kanglin Academy, and had much to do with Xianxia. Not long after, Mo Xing parked the jeep, steadily in front of a cluster of buildings. Lin Kuei looked up at the buildings, whose style resembled ancient academies. In front of the gate lay a dark brown boulder. On it, 4 large characters were written in a flourishing dragon and phoenix style. Kanglin Academy. At this moment, a long queue had already formed at the academy's entrance, and the 5 people, at the head of the line, were dressed in the same attire as Mo Xing. They were likely also instructors from Kanglin Academy's outer court, and the bespectacled person who was previously with Mo Xing in the secret chamber, Zhang Nian, was also present. The 5 people stood in a row, staring intently at the jeep and its occupants, poised for battle. Mo Xing looked at the 5 people at the entrance. Even without thinking hard, he knew these guys were here to snatch people, but he also understood. Su Tang was not only recommended by Lord Night Wanderer, but his martial soul quality had also reached S grade. It would be hard for him not to become a hot commodity. Am I really that sought after? Lin Kuei. Seeing this display, he couldn't help but feel a little smug, and Su Tang saw the appearance of Lin Kuei's camp. He directly pushed the door open and got out of the car. He felt that if he stayed with Lin Kuei any longer, he wouldn't be able to resist shooting Lin Kuei full of holes. Lin Kuei, however, was completely unfazed by Su Tang's attitude. After all, geniuses are envied wherever they go. When Lin Kuei got out of the car, his mind was already imagining a group of enthusiastic tutors welcoming him. At the school entrance, the 5 tutors saw the 3 people getting out of the car, and with wind beneath their feet, they sped towards them. Seeing the 5 tutors rushing over, Lin Kuei straightened his clothes, then raised his arm, smiling and greeting. Hello, tutors. Before Lin Kuei could finish speaking, the 5 tutors swept directly past Lin Kuei, and then surrounded Su Tang, who was behind him. The smile on Lin Kuei's face instantly froze. Inside, 10,000 alpacas were galloping. Who can tell me what's going on? Camling. Camling. Gooden 10 follows Camling. Lin Kuei turned his head, looking bewildered at the 5 tutors surrounding Su Tang. Weren't these tutors coming for me? Mo Xing, standing by, after scanning the 5 tutors, said with a serious expression, What are you doing? At this moment, the middle-aged man with glasses pushed up his thick frames and said, Old Mo, you've worked hard. From now on, leave Su Tang to me. I've already prepared his enrollment materials. Teacher Liu, what do you mean by this? The student assignment list hasn't been finalized. Su Tang, why should he be assigned to your class too? Subsequently, the other 4 tutors began a fierce verbal battle to snatch the person. In the end, even the 6 tutors were about to start fighting. Just then, suddenly, someone in the crowd exclaimed, Teacher Tang Lin, only to see the surrounding young men and women consciously make way, standing motionless on both sides, not even daring to breathe loudly. In the middle of the path, Tang Lin, dressed in a formal black professional skirt, with a cool expression beneath her neat short hair, was walking over, one hand on her hip. With Tang Lin's arrival, Mo Xing and the others, who were about to fight, quickly stopped. They stared at her, as if facing a formidable enemy. Lin Kuei and Su Tang, taking them. Do you have any opinions? Tang Lin was seen, after scanning the 6 mentors in front of him, saying coldly. After the 6 mentors present exchanged glances, they sighed. Then they turned their heads away, out of sight, out of mind. This woman has quite a background. Lin Kuei looked at the expressions of the mentors, guessing in his heart. Lost in thought, he then followed Tang Lin into the school gate. Not long after, a young man, drenched in sweat, ran up to Tang Lin and the other 2. The young man was plump, his fleshy, round face looking simple and honest, but his small eyes shone brightly. One look told you he wasn't someone who could settle down. Tang Lin pointed at the little fatty in front of them and said, Xianxia, your senior brother. From now on, Lin Ke, you will follow Xianxia to familiarize yourself with the academy's rules. In 3 days, gather all the students for the official start of classes. After speaking, Tang Lin then left with Su Tang. After Lin Ke saw them walk away, he spoke his doubts to Xianxia. What exactly is teacher Tang Lin's background? I see many people are afraid of him. It seems like they're genuinely scared. Right. Xianxia shook his head and sighed. Teacher Tang Lin was once a member of the Hunter Jade Forest Group. The Hunter Jade Forest Group. Lin Kue's pupils widened immensely, because the Jade Forest Group his foster parents were part of was called Hunter. A Jade Forest Group is composed of 5 members, whose levels exceed level 10 Jade Foresters, responsible for slaying demons and monsters. Jade Forest Groups with outstanding achievements are recorded in history. Jade Forest Groups are divided into Glory, King, Legend, Epic, and Braveheart. 5 ranks in total. Yes. That's the Hunter Jade Forest Group that single-handedly destroyed a city, and its strange and legendary reputation, the Jade Forest Group. Xianxia explained excitedly. They are also the only legend-tier Jade Forest Group in our Kanglan city. It's a pity that now the entire Jade Forest Group, only teacher Tang Lin remains. Xianxia sighed. Then Lin Ke. Following Xianxia, they arrived at Kanglan Academy's cafeteria. Just as they were eating, suddenly, a familiar voice rang out from behind Lin Kuei. It was Lin Shui and Yang Xiao. Lin Shui turned her head and looked at the newcomers. The hand holding her chopsticks tightened slightly. This guy was the culprit who killed the original owner of this body. So it's really you, Jun Yao. Look at this person. They actually shamelessly followed us here. Yang Xiao said with a playful smile, looking at the girl next to him. Chu Jun Yao, in a white dress, looked at Lin Ke. Her face was filled with displeasure. You, an ordinary person, relying on connections to get a special enrollment status. In his opinion, Lin Kuei, an ordinary person without a martial spirit, being able to enter Kanglan Academy, must have relied on connections. Thinking of this, Chu Jun Yao's impression of Lin Kuei was at its absolute worst. Relying on connections is also a kind of ability. Moreover, my special enrollment status was obtained through Kanglan Academy's assessment. Why should I be ashamed? Lin Kuei said with some anger. Did they really still take him for the simp he used to be? You haven't even awakened your martial spirit. How could you pass the assessment? Will you use your 5-finger maiden to fire a cannon? Haha. Yang Xiao laughed loudly, mocking him. You've disappointed me greatly. Chu Jun Yao bit her lip slightly and said slowly. At this moment, from the side, Xianxia, with a toothpick in his mouth, found it a bit unbearable. So he spoke up and said, Lin Ke got his special enrollment status with his real abilities. I can guarantee that much. Moreover, this year's special enrollment assessment was presided over by Mo Xing. Trying to use connections to get in through the back door is even lower than the chance of winning the lottery. Chu Jun Yao froze. Had she wrongly blamed Lin Kuei? Just then, a minion behind Yang Xiao secretly said something to Yang Xiao. After hearing it, Yang Xiao burst out laughing. Lin Kuei, with the crippled martial spirit, is your name really that profound? Meanwhile, Chu Junyao beside him pouted, about to flare up. A crippled martial spirit determines your upper limit. For you to still come to Kanglan Academy is simply hopeless. Lin Ke said indifferently. My path is not for others to criticize. You are simply unreasonable. After Chu Junyao finished speaking, she angrily pushed through the crowd and ran off. The simp of yesteryear is quite spirited now, aren't you? Yang Xiao looked at Lin Ke mockingly, his eyes filled with malice. If it weren't for this guy Lin Ke causing trouble, he would have already gotten Chu Junyao. Scram! Lin Ke coldly shouted. Are you angry? Do you want to hit me? Kid, don't forget how you were trampled under my feet back then. I advise you to behave yourself. Otherwise. Yang Xiao leaned his head close to Lin Kue's ear and sneered coldly. Otherwise, I'll smash your head, Lin Ke said coldly. Detecting host's emotional fluctuations, you have the following choices. Choice 1. Swallow your anger and endure humiliation. Reward: a large sum of wealth. Choice 2. Seek help from companions around you. Reward: 5 levels of cultivation. Choice 3. Rise up and counterattack. Defeat Xianxia head-on and establish your prestige. Reward: 1 Shishui pill. Lin Ke chose the third option without hesitation. He definitely couldn't swallow his anger or ask others for help. He only wanted to do one thing now, and that was to smash Xiao's head. Immediately after, Lin Kue's lips curved into a slight smile. He gave a wicked smile. You were the one who said it. Xiao looked at Lin Kue's smile, and a sudden, ominous premonition arose in his heart. Martial spirit, activate. Only to see the void to Lin Kue's right rip open. A section of a corpse, enveloped in dark purple energy, attached itself as a martial spirit to Lin Kue's right arm. Before Xiao could even summon his martial spirit, it rushed in front of him, only to see the right hand, fused with the martial spirit, accurately struck out towards Xiao's abdomen. Baji fist. Iron Mountain. Lin Kuei unleashed all of his 5th-level soul power. The Baji fist strike pierced straight through Xiao's body and exploded behind him, emitting bursts of dark, violent sounds. At this moment, Xiao's face was contorted. His eyeballs were almost knocked out. He felt thousands of tons of weight in front of him, crushing down and rushing towards him. Then, after only hearing a bang, Xiao, like a kite with a broken string, after drawing a perfect arc in midair, plunged headfirst into a nearby trash can, with only a pair of feet dangling outside. I've never seen such a despicable request in all my life. Lin Ke slowly smiled. Meanwhile, the young men and women watching in the cafeteria were all staring at Lin Kuei, dumbfounded. Holy crap, this is too fierce. Didn't they say his martial soul was incomplete? How did he send him flying with one punch? And Xiao, who possesses a martial soul, is quite handsome too. I wonder if he has a girlfriend. The young men and women present began to whisper amongst themselves, one after another, and Xianxia, standing nearby, clapped his hands and cheered excitedly. Not long after, Xiao's underlings pulled him out of the trash can. At this moment, Xiao's face was ashen. He glared angrily at Lin Kuei, who was not far away. Lin Kuei, I'll make sure you don't see tomorrow's sun. Immediately after, soul power surged within Xiao. Only an wu sound was heard. A wolf spirit, bathed entirely in black flames, appeared behind Xiao, exhaling ghostly blue flames. This confirmed it was the extremely rare martial soul, the Netherwolf. Although Xiao was indeed a scumbag, his talent was absolutely first-rate. His innate soul power had already reached level 3. Among his peers, he was an outstanding existence. It was just a pity that his opponent this time was Lin Kuei, who was cheating. Is this an act of the hungry wolf's howl, to liven things up for everyone? Lin Kuei mocked with a face full of disdain. Shut up! Xiao roared, his eyes wide with fury. Immediately after, he was about to control his martial soul, the Netherwolf, to charge at Lin Kuei. At this moment, Lin Kuei's gaze also hardened. Old grudges and new hatred would all be settled today. Just at this moment, Xianxia, with a toothpick dangling from his mouth, squinted at Xiao and unhurriedly said, Classmate, fighting is forbidden in the academy. You need to think clearly. Indeed, upon hearing Xianxia's words, Xiao stopped what he was doing. Then he looked at the surrounding crowd, his eyes wide with rage, his hands clenched tightly, his fingernails even digging into his flesh. Xiao, will remember this score. After saying that, Xiao pushed through the crowd and left without looking back. Lin Kuei also left the scene with Xianxia. Not long after, Lin Kuei rented a house from his landlady, Sister Yan, for 5,000 a month. He had originally wanted Xianxia to help haggle the price, but Xianxia had long since fallen for Sister Yan's green and red cheongsam. Lin Kuei could only shake his head helplessly, then gritted his teeth and pulled out 5,000 silver dollars. Xianxia, with ulterior motives, had originally wanted to stay with Lin Kuei for 10 days to half a month, but ended up being kicked out of the room by Lin Kuei. Lin Kuei, who had just closed the door, was about to take a hot shower. Dong dong! Suddenly, a knocking sound came from behind Lin Kuei. Lin Kuei frowned. This damned fatty is truly persistent. So he walked to the door, abruptly pulled it open, and began to curse. I said, "You damned fatty! Are you ever going to quit? Nini!" Lin Kuei choked on his words halfway through. Outside the door, the female ghost Hong Ye, dressed in a wine-red trench coat, extended a slender index finger, and after lifting Lin Kuei's chin, said seductively, "Little brother, you've really made me search for you." Lin Kuei immediately tensed up, too nervous to even speak. How did this female ghost find her way here? Didn't they say there were very few ghosts in Kangtong town? Someone explain this to me. You will pay the price for your last actions, the female ghost said, while slowly moving her index finger downwards, gliding it across Lin Kuei's neck. Lin Kuei swallowed hard. He slowly said, "Don't do that. I am a proper person." A loud scream came from Lin Kuei's mouth, only to see the female ghost Hong Ye's icy jade hand grabbed Lin Kuei's left arm. Immediately afterwards, scarlet ghostly energy transformed into a blade, slicing open Lin Kuei's palm. Instantly, a drop of dark brown blood slowly flowed out. Cold sweat beaded on Lin Kuei's forehead. His lips trembling, he asked, "What are you trying to do?" Lin Kuei originally wanted to summon his martial spirit, but to his surprise, he discovered the spiritual energy in his body wouldn't obey him at all. Then he saw the female ghost Hong Ye drip the blood into her own mouth. Immediately afterwards, her 3,000 long hairs fluttered and swayed. Her ghostly aura instantly filled the entire room, and blood energy surged. As the female ghost Hong Ye's words fell, a strange, vibrant floating formation protruded from beneath Lin Kuei's feet, and he felt that the spiritual energy within his body was being siphoned away, bit by the floating formation. Lin Kuei struggled, but couldn't move an inch. "I only kissed you once. Is there a need to make it a life-or-death situation?" Lin Kuei roared angrily. "Humph. I told you. You have to pay the price." The female ghost Hong Ye snorted coldly in reply. Immediately afterwards, an ancient language emanated from Hong Ye's mouth, sacrificing millennia of cultivation to form a ghost marriage. Scattered soul and spirit, no regrets in the end. Then, under Lin Kuei's gaze, the ghostly aura on the female ghost Hong Ye's body, at a speed visible to the naked eye, was devoured by an unknown power. Damn. Just for a kiss? You're going to get married? Is it that intense? Don't rush into a trap yet. Marriage is a big deal. It can't be rushed. How about we go shopping first and get to know each other? If that doesn't work, dating first is fine too. Lin Kuei panicked. A ghost marriage was no joke. Once the contract takes effect, both parties' souls will not only be bound, but their destinies will also be firmly intertwined. But at this moment, Hong Ye completely ignored Lin Kuei's wailing and howling, only to see her wine-red trench coat was consumed by the flames released by the floating formation. Grave well, red leaves, black hair pizza. The star-red eerie aura transformed into a red dress, appearing delicate and charming, yet seductive. Gazing at Lin Kuei's face, the long, narrow anger slowly closed. Then, she stood on tiptoe, her arms like lotus roots wrapped around Lin Kuei's neck. They kissed passionately. Immediately after, above the upright stance, a red light instantly burst forth, like a lotus flower, enveloping the two of them within it. And at the moment Lin Kuei made contact with Hong Ye, the body's powerful legacy, at this moment, he felt his soul and Hong Ye's entwined together. This kind of soul collision was even clearer than the physical impact. Hong Ye's body trembled slightly. On her devastatingly beautiful face, there was a charming blush, like a blooming red rose. And within this lotus-independent space, you, however, saw the life of the female ghost Hong Ye, an imperial princess, whose prime years were cut short by the smoke and flames of war. Immediately after, his consciousness was then led into another space, within a space that was icy cold, dim, and filled with the aura of death. The ground was covered with bones and a sea of blood. 2 blood moons above the sky, like a pair of crimson eyes gazing at the earth. 1,000 years of reincarnation. The demon god descends. Blood paints the human world. Subsequently, a chilling, deep voice exploded in Lin Kui's ears. The piercing pain made Lin Kui's soul kneel on the ground, clutching his head, and roar towards the sky. In reality, Lin Kuei suddenly sat up from the bed, then gasped for air in large gulps, his forehead covered in beads of sweat. "You're awake." At this moment, the female ghost by the bed, Hongye, had already taken off her wine-red trench coat and changed into a white uniform, like a heavenly immortal descending to the mortal world, untouched by a speck of dust. "How long was I unconscious?" Lin Kuei asked, looking at the night view outside the window. 3 days, the female ghost Hongye said, handing Lin Kuei a handkerchief. "Are you saying I should call you Lin Kuei or Project?" Hearing this, Lin Kuei's hand, which was taking the handkerchief, suddenly paused. You haven't left yet?" Lin Kuei stammered. He almost forgot about Hongye. Suddenly, Lin Kuei abruptly remembered something. He quickly threw back the covers to check his body. Phew. It's still there. Shameless. Hongye's face was flushed. She cursed, blushing with anger. Lin Kuei, however, looked nonchalant. Just as he was about to say something more, he suddenly discovered that he couldn't sense any trace of Hongye. "Are you surprised?" Hongye leaned by the window, smiling brightly, propping her chin with both hands as she explained. "When I formed the ghost marriage with you, I sacrificed 1,000 years of cultivation. Afterward, the rectifying red lotus leaf fire purified my power, and with our souls complementing each other. Although I am now a ghost, what I cultivate is no longer the path of a malevolent spirit, but that of a ghost immortal. Of course, I also won't be discovered by those powerful humans in Kangtong Town, or by the Jade Forest practitioners." "Why did it have to be me?" Lin Kuei asked, a hint of curiosity in his voice. "After forming the ghost marriage, the destinies of human and ghost are tied together, and if any accident befalls the human party, the ghost will sacrifice itself for the human. And I chose you, simply because your soul is weak. On one hand, it ensures the marriage is absolutely foolproof. As for dying in your stead, I can forcibly sever the contract before you die." Lin Kuei's face instantly darkened after hearing her words. If he could defeat Hongye, Lin Kuei would have already attacked. This woman's attitude was even more arrogant than Tang Lin's. Unconvinced, Hongye looked at Lin Kuei. She slightly raised her head and peered at Lin Kuei from the corner of her eye. Then, she extended her right hand, which had been propping her chin, and beckoned with a finger, saying, "If you're not convinced, come hit me." Lin Kuei's hands trembled. His teeth gnashed loudly. "What a coward." Looking at Lin Kuei, who made no move, Hongye said smugly, "Considering you're my tool, Monica, I'll personally make you dinner." Saying this, Hongye pushed the door open and left the room. Looking at the departing Hongye, Lin Kuei sighed heavily. In stories like this, I'm definitely the most miserable male lead. When others transmigrate, they find romantic encounters at every turn. But when it comes to me, I'm chased and beaten by women everywhere. The key is, you can't even beat them. As he thought about it, Lin Kuei suddenly remembered. The cleansing water pill, rewarded by the system earlier, hadn't been used yet. Then, after Lin Kuei chuckled to himself, he vowed confidently, "Once my physical body reaches S rank, I'll smash you women, every single one of you, immediately." He swallowed the cleansing water pill in one gulp. Following that, his martial spirit pulsed. Then, countless spiritual energies centered around him, forming a small vortex, rushing towards his dantian. Bang, bang, bang. Thumping sounds echoed from within Lin Kuei's body. Powerful spiritual energy infused him, cleansing the meridians throughout his body. His soul power level instantly broke through to level 6, and a thick layer of grime appeared on his body surface. Lin Kuei quickly took off his top and used a tissue to wipe it. Just then, with a dong sound, the room door was pushed open. He saw Hongyi, carrying a bowl of steaming egg-fried rice, push the door and enter. Hongyi suddenly stopped mid-sentence. What did she see? Lin Kuei, not wearing clothes, held a tissue in his right hand, and on the tissue, there was a sticky, white, unknown substance. This scene instantly sent her mind into a whirl of wild thoughts. "Sorry to disturb you. I'll leave the egg-fried rice here for you. You've expended a lot of energy. Eat more eggs to replenish yourself." Then, with a bang, Hongye closed the door, threw down the egg-fried rice, and ran off. Damn! Isn't this a huge misunderstanding? However, Lin Kuei couldn't be bothered to explain. He quickly rushed into the bathroom to take a shower. Not long after, Lin Kuei, clad in a bathrobe, walked to the bathroom mirror. He was instantly stunned. The young man in the mirror had a tall and straight posture. His facial features sharp and distinct, as if carved by a knife, especially those sword-like eyes, and his brow had already shed its youthful naivety, giving off an agile and quick-witted impression. His physique had explosive muscle definition, an absolute celestial maiden magnet. Then Lin Kuei looked at himself in the mirror, sighing. If being handsome is a sin, then I am simply unforgivable. Shameless. A voice, ethereal as an orchid, came from not far away. Red Leaf's body was seen passing through the bathroom door. When she saw Lin Kuei's transformation, her eyes widened in shock. Then, with a serious expression, she said, "Are you a monster?" Because the first time she met Lin Kuei, he hadn't even awakened his martial spirit. But now, she felt from Lin Kuei a hint of danger. How old was Lin Kuei now? If he were given enough time, what heights would he ultimately reach? She simply couldn't believe it. Just as Lin Kuei shook his head and was about to say something, dong, 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 a sudden knocking sound came from outside the door. A guest has arrived. A regal smile suddenly appeared at the corner of Red Leaf's mouth. Lin Kuei, however, frowned. He had just arrived in Kangtong town and was unfamiliar with the place. Who could it be in the middle of the night? Lin Kuei then walked to the door and pulled it open, but he found not even a ghost's shadow. Lin Kuei searched at the doorway for a long time. After confirming no one was there, he angrily slammed the door shut. Knocking on someone's door in the middle of the night, are they out of their minds? At this moment, Red Leaf, who was lazily lying on the sofa inside, gazed at Lin Kuei with a smile. She said, "They haven't even come in yet, and you've already closed the door. That's too rude, isn't it?" Hearing this, Lin Kuei's face darkened with displeasure. At this moment, dong, 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 the knocking sound rang out again. Lin Kuei, filled with anger, violently opened the door again. Still, he saw nothing. Lin Kuei was truly enraged. Even a ghost wouldn't play like this, right? Just as he was about to curse, Red Leaf's reminder came from inside. "Idiot! Look at your feet." Lin Kuei quickly reacted. He lowered his head and instantly froze at what he saw at his feet. He saw a weasel, no taller than his knee, standing upright on its hind legs like a human. It was currently glaring at him in anger. Subsequently, an angry, scolding voice came from the weasel's mouth. "Impudent youngster! How dare you treat this great immortal with such disrespect?" Lin Kuei, meanwhile, was full of questions for the talking weasel. Immediately after, the weasel, its voice, clear and resonant, entered his mind. "Youngster, listen carefully. I'm going to ask you a question, and you must answer me. Do I look more like a human or an immortal?" Lin Kuei looked at the weasel with a solemn expression. This was clearly asking for flattery. Fortunately, Lin Kuei had undergone the baptism of the Jishui pill. Not only was his physical body genuinely S-grade, but he also possessed martial true qi. Lin Kuei quickly steadied his mind. While Lin Kuei was shocked, his heart was full of doubts. This was Kangtong Town. Kanglan Academy and Xianxia were located right here. Hongye had her own yang energy to conceal her. Coupled with her formidable strength, and having cultivated the path of a ghost immortal, she could avoid the prying eyes of those powerful individuals. But how could this weasel have escaped the notice of so many high-level jade forest cultivators and appear here to harm human lives? However, before Lin Kuei could ponder further, the next second, the weasel swung its powerful claw, and a claw as sharp as a blade appeared at Lin Kuei's Adam's apple. Lin Kuei was so scared, he didn't dare to breathe. But then, after Lin Kuei swallowed, his expression returned to normal. "Boy, answer my question quickly. Otherwise, you die." The weasel extended its claw a little further. "You shouldn't force me." Lin Kuei pretended to swallow. Then, it was said, "Humph, this great immortal has 100 years of cultivation, dealing with a mere youngster who hasn't even reached level 10. Even if I force you, what can you do?" The weasel blustered. "Since you won't speak, then I'll kill you and take your soul to nourish my qi and blood. Die." The weasel's eyes gleamed fiercely, about to kill and seize a soul. It was at this moment, a surge of mysterious power surged forth from Lin Kuei's body, directly enveloping its claws. No matter how much force the weasel used, its claws still couldn't advance further. Immediately after, a voice like a silver bell slowly rang out. "Did I agree to you? Hitting my man?" At this moment, Hong Ye, who had been sitting on the sofa, had, at some unknown point, appeared behind the weasel. A pair of phoenix eyes glowed with a vivid crimson light, staring intently at the weasel. "A ghost? No. There's no ghostly aura on you. You. Who exactly are you?" The moment the weasel turned its head and saw Hong Ye, a fear from the depths of its soul quietly emerged. Although it had noticed Hong Ye from the very beginning, it hadn't paid her any mind, thinking she was just an ordinary human. Now, looking back, it realized it had been careless. At this moment, Lin Kuei swaggered up to Hong Ye, wrapped an arm around her slender waist, and proudly said, "Let me introduce you. This is my wife. Do you still want to take my soul now? Come on then." The weasel's mouth twitched involuntarily. This human is thick-skinned, Hez the most despicable one it had ever seen. But the next second, he was even more shocked, wishing it could immediately rush up and smash his mouth. Lin Kuei, seeing this, bared his teeth, and after flashing him a smug smile, then turned to Hong Ye and said plaintively, "Wife." He was so fierce just now. Meanwhile, Lin Kuei's heart was already blooming with joy, thinking that since he had started to live off a woman, he should definitely see it through to the end. At this moment, the weasel's mind was filled with a torrent of curses. It had seen shameless people, but never one so utterly shameless. No sooner had Lin Kuei's words fallen, Hong Ye slapped the weasel, sending it flying. Immediately after, a crimson stream of energy pinned the weasel in midair. Then Hong Ye waved her hand. A red, barbed, long whip appeared in his hand. He then mercilessly whipped the weasel. Screams of agony erupted from the weasel's mouth. One could only see Hong Ye vigorously swinging the long whip in her hand, while angrily cursing. "How dare you threaten my Lin Lang? You're courting death." Just as Lin Kuei was watching, pleased, he suddenly realized Hong Ye had glanced at him, intentionally or not, and after seeing a faint smile on her lips, his heart involuntarily trembled. He thought to himself, if he were to do something out of line, wouldn't he be the one getting whipped? Not long after, Lin Kuei calmed himself down and signaled Hong Ye to stop. Then, looking at the weasel, whose body was covered in gashes and wounds, he addressed the weasel. "Confess honestly now, who exactly sent you?" He couldn't believe that Kangtong Town, with Xianxia overseeing it, would have a mere weasel sneak in. Someone must be pulling the strings behind this, and the person behind this must have a significant background. "I don't know what you're talking about," the weasel stammered. "Oh, still a tough nut to crack, are we? Wife, keep hitting it," Lin Kuei said slowly. However, before Hong Ye could make a move, the weasel, with a jolt, immediately cried out, "It was Yang Guang who sent me. Please, don't hit me anymore." One could only see the weasel, suspended in midair, its front paws covering its head, its hind legs tucked together, trembling all over. It was clearly terrified of being whipped again. Lin Kuei raised an eyebrow and muttered, "Just as expected." He was new here, and apart from Xianxia, there was no reason for anyone to target him. But now he understood. Yang Guang was Xiao's grandfather, and also an outer elder of Kanglin Academy. He was a level 46 Jade Forest Master, and previously, Xiao was able to parachute into the senior graduating class, also relying on his grandfather's status. For such a minor dispute, to send out a demon beast with 100 years of cultivation, to take his life. What a small-minded person, what a malicious heart. If Redleaf hadn't been here today, he might really have lost his life again. Just as the weasel spirit was about to beg for mercy, a new crimson soul power whip directly pierced through the weasel spirit's body. Afterwards, the weasel spirit transformed into a ball of bloody light, disappearing between heaven and earth. Only a yellowish-brown core dropped to the ground. The haunted house was killed and turned into murkiness. It can be absorbed by jade foresters to become soul traces. As for the demon core left after a demon beast's death, it can serve as a cultivation resource for jade foresters. After Lin Kuei picked up the demon core from the ground, he turned and went back to his room. At the scene, only a cold statement echoed in the air. Xianxia, I will never rest until one of us is dead. The next morning, the sun shone brightly. At the gates of Kanglin Academy, people were bustling about. A group of energetic young boys and girls, each with joyful expressions, stood proudly on the plaza at the school entrance. Today was the first day of school at Kanglin Academy. Lin Kuei also arrived here early. Ever since his physical body broke through to S rank, Lin Kuei's appearance had become even more handsome than before. As soon as he appeared, he attracted the attention of many girls. Some bolder girls even took out their phones to secretly take photos of Lin Kuei, so they could inquire about him later. Being handsome is also a kind of trouble. I need to be low-key. Lin Kuei sighed bitterly to himself. But his body was very honestly catering to those girls' phones, constantly striking poses for the cameras. Just then, in Lin Kuei's mind, Red Leaf's cold voice resonated. I advise you to be kind. Immediately afterwards, the image of the weasel spirit being torn apart last night echoed in his mind. His body involuntarily trembled. I was too careless, too proud for a moment. He forgot that he still had Red Leaf, this bronchitis, in his body. After Red Leaf and he formed a ghost marriage. Their two souls became one body. He can reside within Lin Kuei's body. At the same time, Lin Kuei can also borrow a part of Hong Ye's power. Lin Kuei suddenly heard a sound of sutra. Lin Kuei turned his head to look. Lin Kuei, Lin Kuei, Lin Kuei, Lin Kuei turned his head to look. He saw Xianxia staring at him with a look of disgust. You fatso! Stay away from me. Lin Kuei looked at Xianxia, who was drenched in sweat, kicked Xianxia's butt, and cursed with a laugh. Just as Xianxia was about to say something else, from the school campus broadcast, an old voice came. Attention, all students. The opening ceremony will begin in 10 minutes. The ownership of this year's Lingquan Cave abode will be announced. Please take your positions quickly. After hearing this, the students in the plaza quickened their pace and surged towards the academy plaza. And the sturdy Xianxia also grabbed Lin Kuei's hand and rushed into the academy gate in a frantic hurry. When Lin Kuei and the two of them, drenched in sweat, arrived at the outer plaza, Tang Lin, bringing Su Tang, had already been waiting at the scene for a long time. Why are you just arriving? Tang Lin looked at the two sweating individuals and frowned, reprimanding them. However, when his gaze fell upon Lin Kuei, he froze. You broke through. He remembered that 3 days ago, when he first met Lin Kuei, he was only at the 5th stage. How did he break through to the 6th level in the blink of an eye? Moreover, from his body, an indescribable aura emanated. Meanwhile, Su Tang, who was beside them, now looked at Lin Kuei with eyes that held a subtle change. At this moment, Lin Kuei, after rubbing his nose, slowly said, "This is all standard procedure." Tang Lin subtly observed Lin Kuei, then smiled faintly and said, "Heh, it's good that you broke through. Otherwise the later parts would be too boring." Lin Kuei was momentarily stunned. For some reason, looking at Tang Lin's smile, he had an ominous premonition. Just as Lin Kuei looked bewildered, on the high platform, a white-haired elder, wearing a gray robe, strode out. Let me introduce myself. I am the Vice Dean of Kanglin Academy, Xuanyang City. One could only hear Vice Dean Xuanyang's faint voice slowly spread out. Although the voice was not loud, but when it resounded, like magic, it immediately quieted the originally bustling square. Subsequently, gaze after gaze, tense yet excited, looked towards the high platform. One saw Vice Dean Xuanyang on the high platform, his face benevolent, his body was slightly hunched. If he were seen outside, he would completely resemble someone drinking tea at sunset, like an old grandfather, playing chess. At this moment, in Lin Kuei's mind, Hong Ye's voice suddenly came through. Lin Lang, do not contact me for now. This old man is not simple. After speaking, Hong Ye's voice quickly vanished. No matter how Lin Kuei called out, there was no longer any response. Meanwhile, on the high platform, Vice Dean Xuanyang, looking at the youthful, bright faces, as if he saw the hope of humanity's future. Under everyone's gaze, he slowly began. This year's new students total 308 people. Among them, 150 are first-class students, 146 are second-class, and 12 are special recruits. I represent the Academy in welcoming all of you. As soon as these words were spoken, thunderous applause immediately filled the square. Empty string. Line 36 is part of 35-second sentence in the original, but needs to be translated as a separate line as per Rule 1. I will combine the meaning into line 35 and leave this one blank to maintain line count. However, many in the crowd also shook their heads and sighed, because originally, they were also special recruits, only because during the assessment, they failed to make the proper judgment when facing ghosts and monsters, and thus lost this honor. Meanwhile, Lin Kuei, standing in the crowd, was also slightly startled upon hearing the special recruit list. How are there only 12? Next, I will announce the special recruit list. All whose names are called, please come to the high platform to receive the Kanglin token, unique to special recruits, and may choose from the 12 spiritual mountain cave dwellings of the outer sect. Immediately after, Vice Dean Xuanyang continued. Class 7, Su Tang. The inherently tall and graceful Su Tang, who had entered the manor, stepped out. He easily leaped onto the high platform. After a respectful bow, he received the token. The moment he touched the jade token, Su Tang's martial spirit was involuntarily unleashed, leaving behind a martial spirit imprint within the jade token. An S rank. It's actually an S rank martial spirit, and 11th level soul power. So powerful. With the release of Su Tang's martial spirit, it instantly caused quite a stir on the plaza. Class 1's Chu Junyao, Class 7's Hu Feng, Class 7's Murong Qingyue, Class 7's Xianxia, Class 2's Xianxia. In the next few minutes, as names continuously rang out, one by one, youths with outstanding presence ascended the high platform, winning their own share of glory. However, what surprised Lin Kuei was that Class 7 alone accounted for 5 of the 12 special recruits. This, Tang Lin, is truly formidable. At this moment, on the high platform, Vice Dean Xuanya slowly put away the Ming Si in his hand and announced loudly, the last one, Class 7's Lin Kuei. Immediately, Lin Kuei also ascended the high platform and received the Azure Orchid Jade token from Vice Dean Xuanyang's hand. Boom! The moment Lin Kuei touched the Azure Orchid token, his martial spirit, Chiyo's right arm, tore through the void and appeared on Lin Kuei's right side. When Vice Dean Xuanyang saw Lin Kuei's martial spirit, his brows furrowed tightly. This martial spirit gave him a very strange feeling. Clearly, the martial spirit was incomplete, but the aura it emitted made even him feel uneasy. The moment Lin Kuei appeared, waves of curses erupted from below the stage. What? An incomplete martial spirit can also become a special recruit? Are you kidding me? He, with an incomplete martial spirit, can even become a special recruit. So why can't we? It must be an inside job. There's definitely an inside job. Those who failed to be selected as special recruits already harbored a sense of resentment, and when they saw Lin Kuei's incomplete martial spirit, they felt even more displeased. At this moment, Yang Xiao in the crowd sneered. A rat crossing the street. Rat-a-rat crossing the street. Although I don't know what methods Lin Kuei used, he dodged the weasel, but now he became the target of everyone. From now on, his days at Kanglin Academy would definitely not be easy. And Chu Junyao, who was also standing in the crowd, chose to watch with cold indifference. He brought it upon himself. When Lin Kuei looked at the sullen crowd below the stage and recalled what Tang Lin had said earlier, his forehead instantly became covered in black lines. Damn it. That woman must have done it on purpose. However, he wasn't made of mud. Immediately after, Lin Kuei shouted, "Shut up," with a voice full of vigor. Don't look at me with those eyes. Don't. You want this special enrollment status. Come and get it! I, Lin Kuei, humbly request Lin Xueyang's sheep. Grinning menacingly, he held the Kanglin token in his hand, acting arrogantly. Too arrogant. On the square, the hot-blooded youths were already extremely enraged. His shout only added fuel to the fire. If not for the many teachers present, many would probably have wanted to go up and beat him. Vice Dean Xuanyang, who was standing by, was startled at first. Then, he smiled faintly. He hadn't seen such an interesting young man in a long time. He then slowly raised his hand, signaling for everyone to be quiet. Then he spoke. You all need not be dissatisfied. The special enrollment status is not set in stone. If anyone is unconvinced, they may challenge him themselves. But no unauthorized actions. Violators will be expelled from the academy. As Vice Dean Xuanyang's words fell, it made the students, who already had intentions, eager to make a move. They looked at Lin Kuei, as if he were a lamb to be slaughtered. Although Lin Kuei stood on the high platform, outwardly as steady as an old dog. Then Vice Dean Xuanyang made a gesture, and like a gentle breeze, disappeared from the high platform. As for the students present, they also left the square under the guidance of their respective mentors. Lin Kuei, and the others, also led by Tang Lin, returned to classroom 7. However, what was strange was that the huge class 7 only had 5 people in total. One was the tomboy Su Tang. One was the fat guy Xianxia, and the other 2 were Murong Qingyue and Ho Feng. Murong Qingyue had a graceful and enchanting figure, with a charming small face, yet she was a black-dressed girl, who was slightly innocent and naive. Ho Feng, on the other hand, was a burly man, a big, dark-skinned guy, whose body was like an iron tower. This made Lin Kuei, who had originally planned to show off his skills, suddenly feel at a loss. Then he looked at Teacher Tang Lin and weakly asked, Teacher Tang Lin, are there only 5 people in our class? Is there a problem? Tang Lin, standing at the podium, looked at Lin Kuei with cold eyes. Lin Kuei couldn't help but shiver. He shook his head vigorously. Joking aside, he wouldn't dare say no. Since before the start of school, the scene of Tang Lin slapping a teacher away was still fresh in his memory. Afterwards, Tang Lin continued. According to school regulations, special enrollment students can receive 30 snacks per month. The snacks for the first month have already been fully deposited into your Azure Orchid tokens. These allow you to cultivate in the Lingquan Cave abode for 15 hours. Then, he introduced the details about the Lingquan Cave abode. The Lingquan Cave abode is a unique cultivation-blessed land of the Azure Orchid Academy. Inside, there is an endless supply of spiritual energy of heaven and earth gushing forth. Cultivating there can be said to yield twice the results with half the effort. And the key to enter and exit the Lingquan Cave abode is the Azure Orchid token, given to you special enrollment students today. Lin Kuei instantly understood. No wonder when they received the Azure Orchid token today, the people below the stage looked at them as if they had stolen their wives, filled with hatred. At the same time, in the elder's office of the Azure Orchid Academy, a young man dressed entirely in white mirror armor stood before a black-robed elder. Immediately after, he bent down and handed a bank card to the elder. Elder, you must help me think of a solution. If my dad finds out I lost my special enrollment qualification, he'll definitely break my legs when I get home. The black-robed elder hesitated to speak. The special enrollment quota was already set in stone. Even as an elder, he had no right to change it. Xianxia, who had noticed the situation from the side, suddenly spoke. Grandpa, I have a way. Then he spoke again, explaining. Didn't Vice Dean Xuanyang say today? Special enrollment isn't set in stone. As long as Big Brother Mu challenges Lin Kuei and defeats him, wouldn't that be enough? The Big Brother Mu Yang Xiao spoke of was named Mu He. He was precisely the young man in the white competition attire before them. He was from a renowned family in Kangtong Town. Not only had his soul power reached level 9, but his martial spirit was even more formidable. The Li Ji Shou martial spirit. That kid with the incomplete martial spirit. Yang Guang raised an eyebrow. Before, he had sent out the weasel he had raised for many years to kill Lin Kuei. He didn't expect it to fail. Haha, not bad. Currently, if you can publicly defeat Lin Kuei, you can directly transfer the special enrollment status to yourself. Yang Guang discreetly slipped the bank card into his pocket. Afterward, on the other side, Lin Kuei dragged his tired body back to his rented room. He lay weakly on the bed. Staring at the ceiling, he felt like crying but had no tears. Tang Lin left the classroom after the introduction. He had only made a few sharp remarks to Su Tang. He was almost shot into a hornet's nest by her. He had originally thought that with his physical body breaking through to S rank, he could completely contend with Su Tang. The result? He was repeatedly shot and rubbed against the floor by her. In the end, if not for Xianxia's help, he would probably be even more miserable at this moment. Serves you right. At this moment, Hong Ye floated out from Lin Kuei's body. Leaning against the window, she propped her chin with a small hand, gazing teasingly at Lin Kuei. She has an S-rank martial spirit, after all, and her soul power has reached level 11. Moreover, she has the blessing of a soul trace. How many hits can your half-baked, physical body take? Hong Ye rolled her eyes at Lin Kuei and said, if you want to defeat her, you must properly strengthen your vital essence and blood power. The martial path takes vital essence and blood as its foundation. Right now, you're nothing but a show-off. Looks good but is useless. Then, Hong Ye sighed mournfully and pointed out a cultivation method to Lin Kuei. If you want to awaken the vital essence and blood within your body, the most direct method is to stimulate it with force. In simpler terms, it means taking a beating. I'm sure you felt it today. Although you were beaten by Su Tang for several hours, haven't you noticed? After you got beaten, the qi and blood in your body, wasn't it a bit more vigorous than before? Hong Ye said, after tapping Lin Kuei's forehead. Lin Kuei was stunned at first. Then, he seemed to have discovered a new continent, and became happy. At this moment, he really wanted to run into the crowd and say one thing. I'm not targeting you. I want to say that everyone present here is trash. If you don't like it, come hit me. However, judging by Su Tang's progress in beating him today, it was indeed a bit slow. He didn't want to be like before, having no power to fight back against the weasel at all. What if Hong Ye wasn't by his side sometime? Then, he could only rely on himself. Lin Kuei then frowned and fell silent. Not long after, Lin Kuei suddenly had a flash of inspiration. If 1 isn't enough, then make it 10. If the lower grades don't work, then the higher grades. Then he took out his newly bought phone and began his plan. First, Lin Kuei searched for some celebrity rankings of Kenglin Academy. Finally, he locked his gaze on the campus bell ranking. There were a total of 10 girls' profiles on it. Among them were a few acquaintances of Lin Kuei. Chu Junyao was ranked 8th. Murong Qingyue was also ranked 4th. What surprised Lin Kuei was that Su Tang was also on the list. Surprisingly, she was even ranked 2nd. That tomboy can actually make the list, Lin Kuei muttered to himself. After some thought, Lin Kuei locked onto Mo Qingcheng, who was ranked 1st, and saved a picture from her album, a photo of her watching snow. Then Lin Kuei opened his camera and took a selfie. He directly edited a caption, pairing it with his selfie and Mo Qingcheng's photo of watching snow. He posted a message on Kenglin Academy's school website. The content was, if I were Tongling Snow, this life would also count as growing old together. My princess, your humble servant has arrived late. Day 1 of tagging my girlfriend, Mo Qingcheng, and signed his name, Lin Kuei, Class 7, Yulin. Not only that, Lin Kuei also at Ed Mo Qingcheng and her fans in the message. After doing all this, Lin Kuei, feeling utterly content, flopped onto the bed and fell asleep. Although it was the middle of the night at this time, the school's online forum exploded. Are freshmen really this arrogant now? What kind of nobody dares to jump out and steal my woman? And even dares to use his real name? Wait for me at the school gates. Bro, I bought you a standing ticket. Hurry up and run for your life. I'll beat you to death. You little bastard. How dare you steal pictures? Don't let me catch you. What? Only one day? I've liked the goddess for 100 years. Let's duel tomorrow. Early the next morning, Lin Kuei picked up the phone from beside his pillow. Looking at the Weibo comments, one by one, he could feel the furious comments even through the screen. His lips curled into a slight smile. It's not enough. Let the storm rage even fiercer. Afterward, he again made outrageous remarks in the comments, saying, everyone, don't misunderstand. I, Lin Kuei, only want to say one thing. I, Lin Kuei, only want to beat you all to death, or be beaten to death by you all. If you're not convinced, Come find me through the internet cable and beat me. As soon as these words were spoken, the comments under Lin Kuei's message became lively once more. Countless private messages bombarded him. Without exception, all of them were challenging Lin Kuei to a fight to the death. Some people even privately started a betting pool, betting on how many beatings Lin Kuei would endure. Meanwhile, on the other side, a long-haired beautiful girl, as usual, opened her phone. When she saw Lin Kuei's message at ing her, between her slender willow-like eyebrows, a trace of cold disgust appeared. And Tian Yu, standing beside her. A faint scent of sweat lingered around his body. His body unconsciously retreated 2 steps. Looking at Mo Qingchen's expression, Tian Yu had already placed Lin Kuei on the must-report list. Today was the day for all new students to go to the Spirit Spring Cave abode. Lin Kuei also swaggered to the designated location, as if yesterday's message had nothing to do with him. At this moment, he only adhered to one principle in his heart. That is, as long as I'm not ashamed, then the one who's ashamed can only be others. At this moment, the outer court new students gathered on the plaza at the foot of the mountain. What rich spiritual energy! After Lin Kuei, who had arrived at the scene, took a deep breath, he exclaimed that the spiritual energy here was more than 10 times richer than in Kanglan City. Looking from afar, he only saw from the panoramic opening at the mountain peak. A pillar of light shot straight into the sky. Vaguely, he saw a layer of golden transparent light barrier, covering the entire back mountain forest. Lin Kuei, however, sensed that the surrounding spiritual energy was from the panoramic opening at the mountain peak, from which it was emitted, and the 36 cave abodes around the pillar of light perfectly adjoined the panoramic opening. The spiritual energy they could absorb was several times more than at the foot of the mountain. Subsequently, Lin Kuei noticed many gazes fixed on him. All their faces carried a hint of malice. At this moment, Mo Xing slowly walked to the very front of the plaza. After turning around, he spoke loudly. Everyone is here. Find your positions according to the Kanglan token in your hands. 2nd grade students, foot of the mountain. 1st grade students, mountainside. Special enrollment students, enter your respective Spirit Spring Cave abodes. Just as everyone was stirring, ready to move, a voice broke the atmosphere, only to see Mo Hess figure slowly walking out from the crowd. Then, after cupping his hands towards Mo Xing, he said, Teacher, Mo Xing, I want to challenge Lin Kuei from Class 7. Subsequently, he slowly turned towards Lin Kuei's location. His gaze was sharp and filled with killing intent.